marketing is still struggling to be seen as, you know, as a strategic role in the boardroom. How can we bridge that gap then? So your marketing team is solid, they get it, but there's still this perception in the boardroom of marketing.
You know, I look at this almost kind of from a military strategy perspective, because if we think about military strategy, there are two fronts. You've got the external marketing front and influencing beliefs and behaviors with prospects in the community and account holders. But then there's this internal front. And it's almost
Mm.
what's more important. And I would say maybe it's the internal front is more important, because if we do not gain the trust, and that's the key word, if we do not gain the trust in the boardroom, marketing will continue to be perceived as a glorified
Yeah.
in-house Kinko's there to serve the last minute demands of business lines internally. And as I've mentioned before, and I've written about, kids that play with paint and crayons. And we've heard that. You've heard this. Like
Oh yeah.
that's how others perceive marketing teams within the organizations. And I'm very
Yeah.
empathetic to
Fluffy
this fact.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very empathetic to this fact because, you know, I was interviewed for an article by the Financial Brand, and the title of the article was "Why Banks Are Saying Goodbye to the CMO." And I would say my only critique to the article was they didn't interview a CMO at a bank for the article, but it was one of these, like, I understand maybe why they interviewed a couple of other people, but there was some very specific research here that came from a firm named Boathouse. And what they found is 3 in 10 chief executives gave their marketing teams a rating of above average. I don't like the way that that's framed. I would put this another way. 7 out of 10 executives gave their marketing teams a rating of below average. Um Only about half the CEOs survey rated their marketing capability as best in class, and quote, demonstrating a real lack of trust in marketing department's ability to drive revenue. And then 20% of CEOs, so 2 out of 10, said the CMO is, quote, on my side. I trust them. Now, we have to consider this research was done September and October of 2023.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I wrote Banking on Digital Growth, I looked at some similar research that was done by the 4A's group. And context of time, that research was from around like 2019 time period.
Hmm.
And what I found back then is 8 out of 10 CEOs don't trust marketers. About 8 out of 10 CEOs said that they would like marketers to focus on tracking KPIs. They believe that 7 to 8 out of 10 marketers are using the wrong KPIs to track and prove ROI. And then 8 to 9 out of 10 marketers mistake, and this is the key, they mistake engagement for conversion. We see that exact same thing
Yeah,
through the
we
work
do.
that we do with financial brand marketing teams, because, oh, they clicked on the call to action. Let's chalk that up for a conversion.
Yeah.
That's
Success.
mm-hmm. That's yeah. So engagement does not equal conversion. And so it all comes down to this one word. It's trust. And really, if you think about marketing, tying it back to this idea of influence, marketing is really just about change management. And I think the question is how do you transform people's beliefs first? It Before you even change their behavior, you have to change their belief. And the first step is you have to get them to trust you. And How do you get to someone to trust you? Well, you have to continually communicate clarity to them by making what I've said before, by making these micro deposits into the trust fund that sits between their ears. And how do you make these micro deposits? You share your thoughts, your ideas, your insights, your expertise as a marketing leader to other leaders within the organization so that you can provide them with clarity to guide them beyond the confusion and the conflict that they might have about marketing. And what is true, this type of logical thinking can be applied to the external world of marketing, prospects and account holders, but the same logic applies just as much internally with other key leaders, C-suite, boards of directors.
So AI,
Hmm.
fear, do we fear it? Do we fight it? Or do we friend it as marketers? And this is kind of tying back to another debate that was sparked recently by Sam Altman, who said that what was it, 95% of what marketers use agencies for will be handled by AI. And it's headlines like those, I think, spark a little fear in marketers. So how do we tackle this and move forward and with confidence?
Yeah, you could say that it sparks fear in marketers, but what I would be more in tune to is how are those headlines influencing the beliefs of other senior leaders within an
Yeah.
organization who do nothing more than just read the headline? Because once again, think subconscious mind here.
Yep.
Marketing already has a marketing or a perception problem within an organization. Marketing is viewed as a cost center. And if we're
Yeah.
thinking, 95% of marketing could be replaced by AI, or marketing activities could be replaced by I might not be consciously thinking this, but subconsciously, it's like, well, why do we need marketing
Yeah.
anymore? And I think that's a very slippery slope to go down, because this is the gap. Once again, the future of marketing will definitely be a collaboration between humans and AI. AI will do a lot of the heavy lifting, but people will provide the contextual perspective of the human condition.
Right.
And one of the elements of the human condition is indeed fear. And your question, do we fear it? Do we fight it? Do we friend it? We have to be very aware of our own beliefs, because the human condition, when something new is introduced, is to typically fear it.
Yep.
And then
You're
we
the
have to,
unknown.
exactly. And then we have to, well, why? What's making me uncomfortable here? We could fight it. And that's, once again, that's another natural human response to change.
Yeah.
I want to fight for what I believe to be true, and I will fight for what I believe to be true, even though philosophically I know what used to be true is no longer true. But I will take that, my belief, I will ride that down to the bottom of the ocean, just like a sinking Titanic, because it's what I know and it's what I cling to. This is where you and we've done a lot of work on this as individuals.
Yes.
You got to let go to grow. And
Yes.
that's where I think my own personal experiences, I'm very empathetic to a lot of what marketing
Yeah.
leaders are feeling, what executive and senior leadership team members are feeling. I'm very, very empathetic to the fact. But then it's this last piece. Do we friend it? And I think that is where we look at this not as a replacement, but as an augmentation to capability, to capacity, And our what AI does not have is human experience.
Yeah.
And if we can leverage
Yeah.
that, that's our capability multiplier.